Good morning, peace and blessings, everybody, and welcome to another live of Wake Up Wednesday. Here with your host, Asia Nasir, founder and chief empowerment officer of Jessica Cares. Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going to have that discussion. Today, we're going to have that discussion, the discussion that a lot of us are in need of, but rarely give ourselves permission to have. And that is the weight of perfection and finally how to let go of unrealistic expectations that we put on ourselves, you know? So if you're that person that shows up for everybody, everything has to be exactly, perfect, or it's not happening. Everything has to be on point. You delay things because you don't feel that it's exactly perfect. You revise and revise and revise over and over again. If you're that person, this live is for you. Or if you know someone who is struggling with that, this is the live for them. So I would love for you, before we get into the conversation, I would love for you to be able to tag that person, share this video with them, so that way they can get in here and be able to listen to some powerful strategies that we're going to be talking about today to finally let go of the weight that we were never meant to carry in the first place. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. But before we do, I'm going to try this once again, because lately Facebook has been giving me some serious issues for our Facebook family friends to see the live on my page. I don't know why it takes away the settings, and it makes the settings where they can't see it. It's in private, and when I try to make it public, it doesn't allow. See, once again, it doesn't give me the opportunity to edit the settings for privacy settings. So it doesn't do it until after the video is on, which basically defeats the purpose of why I want to do post it on my page. So not sure what that's about, but let's try it. I'm going to try something here. So bear with me one moment while yeah, it's not letting me do it. It's not letting me do it. So for those of you who are on my personal page, you'll have to go to the Jessica Cares page to be able to see it. So without further ado, let's get into this conversation that we so desperately need to have. And if you struggle with this and you have developed some, strategies that have worked for you, please put it in the comments, because this is what this platform is all about. It's about us being able to have a real conversation, a safe space to be able to share, and a safe space to be able to feel free to be able to talk about topics, as I mentioned before, that we just don't give ourselves permission to do. So today we're going to break that cycle and have that conversation of letting go of unrealistic expectations and the weight that comes with, this feeling of having to be perfect. And as women, sometimes, we have that, and unbeknownst to us, we pass this on to our daughters who are watching us, who are emulating us, and they feel that they have to, have that same level of perfection in everything that they do. And the detriment and the harm to that is what we're going to be talking about, and how to overcome that. So let's get right into the first powerful strategy to be able to let go of unrealistic expectations and the weight of perfection. And the first one is, and this is really, really important, because it starts here. It starts here. So that's redefining what success looks like to you. That's the operative word. That's the operative word. What does redefining what success looks like? For many of us who, I'm not a perfectionist. I'm a high achiever, but I'm not a perfectionist. Um, Many who struggle with perfectionism, though, a lot of times that's rooted in trying to meet someone else's standards, society standards of what success looks like. So that's what we measure ourselves with. We measure ourselves with what the world expects of us, society expects of us, or someone else. That could be a parent, that could be, a relative, a sibling that seems to, always have it together. We measure and start comparing ourselves to someone else. And so it's rooted in something that is not innately in us, right? And so we base Am I successful off of someone else's success, or what we deem their success or accomplishment is? And let me just unpack that for a second. All have skill sets, all of us have talents, all of us have experiences. Our wisdom is based on, experiences that we have, whether taught or learned through life experience or trained. We learn different things, and so we can't. It's almost like comparing. I don't know if you've ever heard the term comparing apples to oranges. That's exactly what you're doing when you compare yourself to someone else. They may have had a different upbringing. They may have had training that you may not have had, and so you're comparing yourself to someone who's not even you're not even on the same level. And that doesn't mean you're beneath them or above them. It just means you have a different set of skill sets. And so when you start comparing yourself to someone and saying, well, their success is this and mine's is not here or there, so that means I'm not successful, you are creating and setting yourself up for failure, because the success is not in the end result all the time. The success for some of us who may not have had a silver spoon in our mouth, or may not have had the training that someone else had, but it was through our being self-taught or whatever. That's the success. The success is in the journey. The success is in the process, in being able to learn something, be able to teach something, be able to, build something based off of what you've done. So it's based off of you. So instead of reflecting on, does it measure up to this other person's success? Or does this measure up to society's expectations of success? Reflect on when you do something, when you accomplish something, how did that make you feel? Reflect on how did that make you feel? Because in the feeling lets you know, was this successful? Was this successful? Did it make you feel good in doing whatever it was that you were doing, in learning, whatever it is that you learned, the growth that you obtain, through the journey of doing whatever it was that you were doing? Did it make you feel good? Did it make you feel accomplished? Did it make you feel like, you know what? I did something good, rather than measuring your success on what it quote unquote looks like. A lot of us feel like, success is the all American, dream, the white, the house and the picket fence and, things like that. That doesn't necessarily measure success. There are people who have mansions. There are people who have literally palaces, and they are the most unhappy people. You have people that we look at and say, oh, they've accomplished this amount of money, and so that means they're successful. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. So what you have to look at is redefining what success looks like to you. And instead of aligning your goals with an end, like, oh, I have to make this amount of money. And there's nothing wrong with doing things like that. But instead of saying, well, I'm a failure because I don't necessarily reach that exact dollar amount, or I don't reach that particular title or whatever, align your goals with your values and not validation. Align your goals with values. What do you value in life? Is that being a great parent, to your children? And what does that look like? Because some of us feel like being a great parent means that it has to come from a two-parent family home. Sometimes that's just not the reality in some of our lives, right? But how can you be a great parent in spite of being a single parent? What does that look like for you and your children? What does a successful, me being an entrepreneur, what does success look like for me and my values? Is that helping people? Is that helping people accomplish their goals? Is it, whatever your values are, is that how you measure success? Is that how you measure success? Or is it only based on this, and anything that is less than that means failure? Reflect on and align your goals with your values and not validation. And one of the things that you can ask yourself in order to keep that in mind, to keep your intentions every day and to align yourself with that versus perfection, is What matters? Ask yourself, what matters most to me? Not the world, not society, but what matters most to me? Whether that's business, marriage, parenthood, friendship, whatever it is that you're doing that you want to be good at, then ask yourself, what is most important to me in this role? Not necessarily what society deems as perfection. We see girls today that deem perfection as, like in the modeling industry, they deem perfection or beauty to be a certain look. And if you're not that look, then you're not the ideal model. You're not the ideal, uh, standard of beauty. And you have girls that are literally killing themselves with bulimia, anorexia, right? They're killing themselves trying to live up to someone else's standard of what beauty looks like. And some of us are doing the same thing with this word perfection. We are sitting up here killing ourselves trying to live up to something that was never meant for us to carry anyway. All of us on this earth have something that we give to the world that we are good at, and that's what you need to focus on, is what is most important to me, and how do my skill sets, what have I been gifted with that I can give and contribute to make myself feel good and feel accomplished in the things that I'm doing, not necessarily meeting someone else's standard of what they deemed as successful, because all of us have something different that we deem as successful. And that doesn't mean someone's right or wrong. That just means it's not my level of success. So never measure your success or what you feel is failure based on someone else. Base it on you. Base it on what matters to you most. Reflect on that. Okay. So that's strategy number one. And that takes pressure off of you. It really does. So strategy number two, I really love this one because it's something that requires it's an ongoing thing. It's not a hit or miss. It's not a one and done. It's something that you have to continuously do all the time until it becomes norm. It becomes the norm for you. And that speak to yourself with compassion, not criticism. A lot of us, especially those, I'm a high achiever. I believe, and I believe many of us, really want to do well. We have a desire to want to be good at whatever it is that we're doing. And a lot of times we are our worst critic. And in everything, there has to be a balance. There has to be a balance. Sometimes we just reflect on and we just focus on what went wrong, what didn't go right, what didn't go well, and we just focus on that, and we lose all of the compassion that, what, yeah, that was a hiccup, but no one else knew but me. No one else knew that hiccup would happen except me. But all the good, whatever it was that you did, whatever good people benefited from it, that's what people see. That's what people walk away. And one of the things that you can do to measure that balance is ask yourself, in whatever it was that you done, did I leave it better than how I came? And that doesn't require perfection. That does not require perfection. Did I leave whatever it was that you just came from, or whatever it is that you just did, or whoever you were with, did I leave it better than how I came? And when you measure yourself from that, you stop you stop criticizing yourself. You stop focusing on being your worst critic. And what you do is you give yourself some grace. You give yourself some grace. So you're and what we have to realize too is that inner dialogue shapes our reality. Whether it's actually reality or not, it shapes our reality and what we think and how we feel. And that may be based off of just being harsh with ourselves, and it's not really real. We're feeling that way, but the other people around us are like, I'm so appreciative, I'm so grateful of that, I love your contribution, I love this or that, and we're walking around feeling like we're less than, because that's the inner dialogue that we're having with ourselves, and that has become our reality, even though it's not a reality to anyone but us, right? So instead of critiquing yourself, and replacing this I have to be perfect thought, replace it, as I mentioned before, with grace. So some of us, right, have been surrounded or grew up in homes where that unfortunately was the conversation. what you didn't do, what wasn't right. So some of us, grace or affirmation is like, that's a foreign concept. I don't even know what that sounds like. How do I affirm myself? What inner dialogue can I tell myself to be able to replace that? Well, that's a great question, within yourself. And so I want to give you some ideas of what that may sound like if you're looking to replace harsh and rigid and criticism, self-criticism. What can that sound like in things that you do? And that one of the things is, my best is enough. My best is enough. If you can reflect on yourself and say, I gave it my best, I did my preparation, I did my due diligence, I gave it my all, I showed up, my best is enough. Just like I used to tell my children all the time, when they were going to school, I used to tell my children, I'll take a hard working C than a lazy A. If your best was a C, as far as I'm concerned, that's an A. All I ask for is that you give it your best. And I'm not basing your best off of, the grades, that A means that you had to give it your best. No, not necessarily. Because all of us are good at some things and some of us are not. Like, I was great at reading, comprehension, writing, when it came to, history, but when it came to math, oh, that's another story. And no matter how hard I tried, I never got an A in math. I may have gotten a C minus sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Maybe even a C. I remember once I got a C plus, but that was an A to me because I really had to work hard to get that. I had to go above and beyond to get those type of grades in math. So some of us are just not good at certain things. That's just not the way our brain is wired, and that's okay. But if you show up and you're like, I showed up my best, I gave it my all, I did my due diligence, I did my preparation, then what you have to tell yourself, even if everything didn't come out perfect, is, my best is enough. Another affirmation that you can give yourself is, done is better than perfection. Done is better than perfection. A lot of times perfection, or the weight of perfection that we put on ourselves, sometimes keep us from accomplishing anything. We're always looking at it, revising and revising and revising. And the gems that are actually there, no one gets to see it. No one gets to benefit from it. Not you or anyone that it was intended for, because it's just sitting there with you critiquing it over and over and over again, giving it, all kind of, no, this is not right. I got to change this. I got to change this. And actually you have a masterpiece sitting right there that you just can't see because you are so worried about perfection versus it's done. My best, and it's done. Done is better than perfection. Done is better than perfection, because no one else reading or benefiting from whatever it is that you're offering doesn't know that's not your best. They feel that that's a masterpiece, that there are gems, that there are things that they took away from it. So instead of going over and over again critiquing things, if you give it your best intentions, you give it your all, your due diligence and your preparation, let it be done. And done is better than perfection, because now people can actually benefit from all the hard work that you just did. And let me tell you, perfection cannot survive where grace lies. Let me say that again. Perfection cannot survive where grace lies. So if you give yourself grace, if you give yourself the ability to say, you know what, that didn't turn out exactly how I wanted, but you know what did show up, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. I did pretty good with that. People benefited from it. I got some, and again, going back to how you feel, do you feel accomplished? Do you feel you accomplished and aligned with your goals and your values? And if you can say yes to that, then that is success. That is success. Because you got some people around here walking around just existing and not giving or contributing to anything. And sometimes that's based off of their weight of perfection and these unrealistic expectations that they put on themselves. So they put out nothing, they contribute to nothing because they feel they have nothing to offer. So, if it's your best and you can honestly say that whatever you've done is your best, then it is enough. It is enough. Okay, so that's strategy number two. Strategy number three is, and this is really important, and a lot of us who work in the corporate world, or any of us who are business owners that have done a SWOT analysis or smart, analysis for business plans or anything like that. One of the things that is common knowledge is you have to set realistic expectations. You have to set realistic expectations. We all want something, but where we are from A to Z, there's some steps that you got to take. So, creating an expectation for yourself from going from A to Z in one step, that's not realistic. You're skipping steps that's going to help you get there. So, first, what you have to do is look at the vision, what it is that you want, that goal that you want, but there may be some steps to it. So, instead of saying tomorrow or next month, I'm going to be at the end goal, that's not necessarily realistic. It may take you some time to get there. And so, with that being said, perfection a lot of time is rooted in, if it's flawless, if it's not flawless, I should say, if it's not flawless, then it's failure. And that's simply not true. And that's simply not true. Some of the greatest podcasts that I've seen, some of the greatest documentaries that I've seen, some of the greatest talk shows that I've seen we've seen them. They had bloopers. They had, things that even sometimes I look at movies and I'm like, ooh, they left that part, that blooper or whatever. It's still in the movie. It didn't take away from the movie. And I think all of us have done that before. We've seen something that was like, that wasn't supposed to be in that movie. that background or that, extra wasn't supposed to do that. It's not perfect. It doesn't mean that it's a failure. And a lot of times we look at, if it's not exactly this, if it's not flawless, then it's a failure. And that's just simply not true. I mean, look at what happened this morning with me. I came on here and I tried to get my my privacy settings on Facebook corrected. It's not working. That doesn't mean that the content is not bad. Is bad, or what I'm delivering is going to make this whole, wake up Wednesday a failure. No, it doesn't. That's just one aspect that we got to get corrected, but it doesn't take away from the value of the conversation we're having right now, which is showing you that imperfection doesn't mean failure. Right? So a lot of times too, perfection, and again, setting realistic expectations, a lot of times those who are perfectionists, it's a need to have control. They have to control everything, right? Delegation becomes hard. Letting someone else take a lead role to help the end result come true. We're not masters at everything. We might be good at a lot of things, but we're not masters of everything. And being able to let go of that and be that expectation that I have to be a master at everything. No, we're given the gifts that we're given, and we need to excel in that. But the things that we may be limited in as far as our ability to execute, like technical stuff, that's just not me. That's not me. But what I can do is employ somebody who can get it done, to make it look the way I want, to accomplish the end goal that aligns with my values. But I may need to get someone else to do that. I don't have to have control over every single aspect of everything. So that allows you to take the pressure off. That allows you to have peace in the journey. That allows you to have peace in the process and whatever it is that you're looking to accomplish, right? And that in and of itself trumps perfection. Because if you're trying to do it and you feel you're the only one that can get it done, that's not realistic. That's not realistic. Many of us, we need a team of people. It's just even raising a child. What do they say? It takes a what? A village, right? It takes a village. You can't do that by yourself in order for that child to benefit in the best way that they can, right? When you're a leader or you're a manager of any type of company, you need a team. You need a team of people who are great at what they do in order to bring your vision to fruition. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's setting realistic goals that, I'm not the best at everything, but I can employ and I can gather a team and bring a team of people together. So that way the process is so much better. And I can feel accomplished at the end, knowing that I put forth my best, that person put forth their best, and what we put out was our best. And our best, as we said, is enough, right? Setting realistic goals. And at the end of the day, the goal should align with, the journey of whatever it is that you're accomplishing. Did it align with my values? And did I have peace within myself in the process? And one of the things that you can ask yourself along the way, whenever you're trying to do something or accomplish something, is this expectation serving my joy, or is it stealing it? Is this expectation that I'm setting for myself, is it aligning with my joy, or is it stealing it? And if it's stealing your joy, then you know you're not on the right path. You got to make some adjustments. That means the expectation that you're setting for yourself is not realistic, because peace, inner peace, should be part of it. And if you don't feel inner peace in whatever it is that you're doing, that means one of your expectations of what's happening is off and it's not aligned with what you're doing. Some adjustments need to be made. Okay, so that's strategy number 3. And last but definitely not least is allow yourself to be seen imperfectly. Allow yourself to be seen imperfectly. So many times we feel like it has to be exactly this and it has to be exactly that. And I'll share something that my mentor told me. One of my mentors, his name is Coach Nadir, and he said, your first is always going to, whatever it is that you put out, that first is always going to be your worst. He's like, just embrace that already. It's not going to be your best. It's not going to be your best. It's going to be your worst. Why? Because, this is the first time you're doing something, you're pioneering it, you're learning along the way, you're growing, right? He's like, by the time you do it the 5th and 6th time, you're going to see like, whoa, from my first one to this one, you can see the growth. So he was like, embrace that, but don't stop yourself from doing it. Show up imperfect sometimes. And sometimes people actually appreciate that because they can relate to it. People who have a fear of speaking, public speaking, that's not one of my fears, but they actually say statistics show that people would rather die than actually do public speaking. If that's your fear and you show up and you do it and you make some mistakes along the way, joke, laugh about it, but show up. The 6th time, the 5th time, the 10th time that you do it, your speaking is going to get better. Your public speaking is going to get better. So many of us walk around with this, performance mask. This mask that everything has to be perfect. My makeup has to be flawless. My this has to be flawless, and this has to be this, and the look has to be that. Look, let me tell you something. We don't always have it all together. How many times do we show up and we don't have it all together? We got all kind of stuff going on, but we still show up for work. We still show up as parents. We still show up as spouses. We still show up as, sometimes taking care, a caregiver. Sometimes it's, taking care of friends, and we're not at our best. Show up flawless. Look, I ain't got no makeup on today. I got some bags under my eyes, but you know what? I'm here. I'm showing up. I'm giving my best. Sometimes it's, the background doesn't look exactly the way you want it. Sometimes the lighting is not exactly perfect, but the content is flawless. The content is on point, top tier, right? That should be the focus. And sometimes you just got to say, look, today I'm having some technical issues. This is not our best today, but I'm trying to get this information out to you because we need it. It's needed. And we're gonna get through this, right? Sometimes you just got to show up. And let me tell you something. Vulnerability is a strength. It's actually a power move, because you're going against the grain and showing that, what, perfection is not what you have to have in order to be able to show up and be of benefit and contribute. I don't have to have the nicest background. I don't have to have a backdrop. I don't have to, I don't have to have that. Maybe your budget doesn't have that. Doesn't mean you can't do whatever it is that you're going to do or want to do. You may not have the whatever it is, but Like I said, the content, the intent is top tier. So focus on that. Let your vulnerability show. That breeds relatability, that breeds trust with whoever it is that you're dealing with, and it takes the pressure off of you that you have to be perfect, and it lets go of that unrealistic expectation. You know, I'm just gonna be transparent. I'm gonna have a transparent moment here. I'm gonna be honest. This morning's live almost didn't happen. This morning's live almost didn't happen. I just took a loss with a family, my pet, and it just happened on Monday, and it's still really raw for me. So I'm not going to go into it too long because I'm going to start crying. So I woke up this morning like I'm just not with it today. I'm not going to be my best today. I might break down and cry today. I might get emotional today. I thought of all those things, and I just felt like I'm just not my best today. And I just said, you know what, though? That's the whole point of what I'm talking about today, is that everything is not always going to be perfect. It doesn't mean that you always have to show up perfect. You got to let go of that performance mask. We're not always going to feel our best, but if we show up and give our best, then it's enough. It's enough. It aligns with my values. I showed up and did it. And I'm not just talking, I'm walking my talk, and I'm showing up imperfect today. I'm not my best today. Um, I took time off yesterday because that's how heavy it felt. And any of us who've had a pet, who they feel like family. They feel like family. And when you have to let go of that family member, um, it can weigh heavy for a while. So I just wanted to share that with you, that today was one of those mornings that I'm not at my best. But I showed up today to show you that you can still be able to be of benefit to others, and that your vulnerability is relatable, and people can really look at themselves and say, you know what? It gives permission for other people to say, I may not be my best. It doesn't mean failure. It doesn't mean failure. So I just wanted to share that with you. And just remember this, more importantly, your truth is more powerful than your image. Your truth is more powerful than your image. Too many of us are living in this image world of social media and having to look a certain way and be a certain way. Let that go and be you. Show up as you. And trust me, your village will be there. The people that are, that are there for you, that appreciate what you do, benefit from what it is that you do, they're there. They're going to be there, because God is going to connect you to those people and align you with those people that need to hear your message, or benefit from whatever it is that you're offering. So until our next Wake Up Wednesday, whew, that was a powerful one. That was my vulnerable, transparent moment. That was vulnerable, but I'm glad we unpacked that conversation here at this Wake Up Wednesday. Reflect on it. Reflect on things that you've been holding back because you think it has to be perfect, and look at the gems that you're providing. Look at the things that you're contributing to, the people that are going to benefit from you imparting whatever it is that you're imparting, and let that be the motivation, not someone else's expectation, or comparing yourself to what you feel someone else's success is. That's their success. Doesn't mean that it has to look exactly like yours. Your success will be yours. Hold it, embrace it, be grateful for it, and give your best in everything that you do. And that in and of itself is perfect. So until our next Wake Up Wednesday in a couple of weeks, stay tuned. If you found benefit in this, please like this video, and more importantly, share it. Share it on your page. Share it with particular friends that you feel may need it. Sometimes we just need these reminders to help us get over that hump and let us live a life that's really purposeful and intentional. So until next Wake Up Wednesday, be great, not perfect. So talk to you soon.